The evil within. Hello and welcome to my Evil Within First Impressions video. Didn't think I'd be doing first impressions, but this game caught me off guard. I don't know anyone else who's playing the game, so I kind of need to gush. So yeah, how is it? Really, really good. I don't want to get like too crazy on it because I'm only up to chapter 7, I think. I'm about 5 or 6, I think it's like 6 or 7 hours into it at the moment. So out of 15 chapters, I've still got a fair bit to go, but I am loving it to bits. As I said, the game is like a spiritual successor somewhat to Resident Evil 4. Anyone who's even remotely tuned in on this game would know that. It's made by the guy who's directed Resident Evil 4, so he knows what he's doing and he really knows survival horror. From a foundational basis, it really feels like Resident Evil 4. From like the really dank environments that are either like really dark and kind of fucked up, like towns and like little houses or whatever, to the really dark dungeons which are like laden with traps and, you know, undead that are willing to just like slowly stalk you throughout the halls. It really does feel like a game from 10 years ago, just redone with a few little niceties that we probably could have done with back then. For instance, you don't actually have to stop when you shoot. Anyone who's played Resident Evil, you know, you will run around, the moment you see something, you have to stop moving and you aim your gun individually. This works more of like in a third-person shooter sort of way, so you can still move while you shoot, but it's a total waste because if you're trying to shoot while you're walking, there is absolutely no accuracy. You will miss your shot. And I love it. I love it like that. It makes you conserve every single bullet. So you wouldn't be so daft to like start just trying to walk backwards and randomly shoot off shots, because you probably only have about 3 or 4 bullets and you probably need every single one of them to take down the enemy. So I love it. The game sort of presents itself like a horror game, and I don't know, maybe I take horror games a little better than some people, but I don't actually find the game that scary. I find it very gory and very exciting, but horror-wise not that much. You get into these dungeons, which I've said to a few people, really do just feel like Saw the video game. You're stuck in this house of traps and house of mystery, and you have to try and find your way out while navigating through bear traps or wall bombs or spikes from the floor, spikes from the ceiling, and it's fantastic. It's so good because, the other thing, the checkpoints are really brutal as well. If you die, you're going to get thrown back about 10-15 minutes, which means you are so tense, you are so locked in to each individual environment that you're into, because if you see a bear trap, you will immediately think like, oh my god, I could have just lost 5-10 minutes of progress if I hadn't have been paying enough attention to see that. Some might see that as a downfall. I love it. There's too, like, I'm not going to complain that games are too easy today, but having something that's just that little bit more difficult really makes you like appreciate this sort of style of video game. It really does feel like the very first proper true survival horror game since Dead Space 1, like really. In my opinion, there's like really only like 2 main camps that survival horror sits on. You have like classic survival horror, which is like Resident Evil, and then you have like new age survival horror, which is like Amnesia and sort of what that kicked off, like Outlast, and more recently like Alien Isolation, where you either have really tense environments with, you know, more enemies, or you may have a few weapons to defend yourself with, or on the other hand, you may have fewer enemies or little to no weapons to actually fight your enemies with, which creates the intensity there. And of course this is subjective, but I personally tend to lean on the more enemies, less ammo approach, because I feel like that's what personally gets me really excited, where, like for instance, I played a ton of Amnesia. I personally get very bored in them games because it turns into just like, where can I hide for 5 minutes while I wait for an enemy to go? And while Evil Within does have like lockers you can hide in and stuff like that, they're there, but personally I don't use them. I find it far more entertaining to run off and try to lure enemies into traps that I've made, which conserves ammo, and I find it's just far more entertaining than just sitting in a box the whole time. But, as I said, all subjective, you're allowed to like what you're allowed to like. Story-wise, as I said, I'm chapter 7 in, but the game seems like very... This isn't even a spoiler because it's written on the back of the game box, but I feel like this game is trying to very much portray itself like Silent Hill 2, like, oh, there's something going on here and it's probably going to tie into the main character. But when the back of the box literally says, "Enter the mind of a madman," you have a pretty good idea about why these things are happening and where you might be. Now, this doesn't mean that the story is uninteresting. Like, I love seeing the different variations of enemies, and my god, is there like it seriously feels like every location you go to, either you meet someone new or you're just flat out fighting a whole new group of enemies, which I think, it's fantastic. And they're all fucked up and they're all weird in their own sense. And they always kind of like make sense in the context of that level. It's just really cool. Like, I love it. It's fantastic. As I said, the story is... I'll have to wait till I finish it. As I said, I'm only up to Act 7, but Sebastian Castellanos, or whatever his name is, he doesn't seem like a very interesting main character. He doesn't really say anything. Like, he says a few things, but it's very campy, which is great for me. I love camp. Like, anything even remotely campy, I'm all over. But I can see how people kind of get like turned off by that. I think some of the things he says are just laughably bad. Like, for instance, he's flying down this giant blood tunnel and lands in a blood pool at one point, and he hops out, he's covered, and he's like wiping it all off his face, and he goes, "Oh, something isn't right here." Like, it's just, I'm like, writers kind of maybe took it a little bit not seriously enough. I don't know. You decide. But as I said, the combat is so good. It's, like, that's what is making me want to come back and smash level after level after level. It is Resident Evil 4. I love Resident Evil 4's combat, but just like I said, with all these little, like, it's like every little thing you could have asked for put in or fixed. Like, it's got that thing where, like, yes, you have a pistol, but your accuracy is not great when you start. Don't expect, even if you have a headshot lined up, don't fully expect to get it every time. These bullets fly, and even the smallest disturbance, whether you be stepping or whether the enemy be chasing you, your reticle actually like sways. So be prepared to miss some shots, and some might figure that as cheap, but that's the incentive. You can collect this thing called brain gel, or green brain gel or something in the game. It's very, very limited, and so you have times you can go back to the safe house and upgrade yourself, and that's when you can choose to remove the sway, or be able to hold new bullets, or be able to sprint longer, or just there's this whole like myriad of things you can actually upgrade. And it's really tense trying to decide what you're doing. Like, personally, I'm going for more of, because bullets are so scarce. I think the most bullets I've had at any one point was just before a boss battle, and I think I had 10 pistol ammo and 5 shotgun shells, and I felt like a god. I felt like I could defeat anything. But so yeah, I'm personally playing as in like, oh well, I want my melee to be real strong. That's the only weapon you have when you're out of ammunition, is to be able to punch stuff. So at the moment I've got my punch up to like 190% damage, which is really good. I haven't actually been able to kill a zombie yet with it, but you can knock them down for longer periods of time, which you can either then stab them or burn them or just run away. And you'll be doing a lot of running away. And one other thing, it's beautiful. Like, there's some texture pop in, but it's so dank and grimy, and the environments are so tense. As I said, they're not particularly scary to me, but they get me, they're so excited. Like, this, it's so cool. Like, I think around chapter 5 or something, you're in this town, and it's like, no, actually, I think it is chapter 7. You're in this town, and it's all bright. It's like, sort of looks almost like a desert town, but there's like just random cliffs and like ladders you have to kind of climb over to get to these. They're like, it's like pseudo, it's not open world, but the environments are made in a way that you can explore them, and there's like tons of hidden little pathways you can go and like find weapons or ammos, or for instance, there's this one point where you can like throw this lever and it'll give you 2 more levers on the other side of the level next to 2 garage doors. I went over, pulled one lever and one of the doors opened up and there was like 8 zombies in there, which immediately just fucked me up, like ruined me. And so I died, and so I went back and I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? I went and pulled the other level, opened up, there was just a treasure chest full of ammunition, health packs. Oh, it was just, it was fantastic. I went back, I was just like looking back on that, I'm like, that is so cool. Like, I love that. And as I said, I'm really, really enjoying it. And you know the game, you know the game is trying to be really difficult when the special edition, the limited edition, comes with 3 shotgun shells in game. Wow. Wow. So that's been my impressions of The Evil Within for PS4. Fantastic game. I don't think I'll make any videos on it. It's not really a kind of video game I make videos about, but definitely pick it up. If you're going to play it, make sure you play it to like chapter 3 or 4, because that's when you actually get the majority of your weapon set. And you can start experimenting with the enemies and doing sort of like just there's bigger environments for you to explore. And if you have played it, make sure you let me know. I want to hear. As I said, I don't have anyone to talk to this about, so I'm dying. Like, let me know what you think about it, and have you played it? Are you gonna play it? Yeah. So let me know, and I can't wait till I put another video up. See you guys. Bye.